YouTube. It is your girl Chantel, and I am so excited to be back. I took a good 6 months off from YouTube, and I feel like I'm ready. I feel ready. I don't want to make any empty promises, but I honestly feel like I'm ready to be back. For those of y'all who don't know, I use my channel because back when I was like around 25, 27, I realized just how much I suck at dating. I realized that everything that I was told about dating and relationship was absolutely lies. For example, I was told focus on your education, secure the bag, and then when you go to the dating market, boast about how educated you are, boast about how much you can provide for yourself. And then I realized, honestly, the kind of men I want don't care about my ability to provide. If I want a man to provide and protect and lead and teach, he's not going to care about the fact that I can provide. So it got me mad curious, and I started, like researching, okay, if a man doesn't want me to provide, a man doesn't want that independent woman, what qualities does he want? And it turns out that it's a femininity. It turns out that it's submission and just a wife, a wife, a mom, a woman who will benefit his life and benefit his future kids. And then I started doing my research, and basically I decided to start my channel to encourage young girls to prioritize dating and relationship, especially if that's what you want. If you want to be a mom and a wife, if you want a man to provide and protect, then figure out what a provider and a protector would want from his wife. Both of y'all can't be coming to the relationship in the provider role or the protector role. Like, you got to complement each other.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen, so you know what I'm about. So let's get into it. What's really interesting about this particular lady, Chantel Simone, is that like she said, she's been out here on these YouTube spaces for a while. And actually in the very beginning, I actually did a lot of videos. I think I did maybe 2 or 3 of her videos as a response. And it was kind of interesting basically this morning, because when I was out looking through my feed, she popped up. And this particular video has been on her channel for about 24 hours, so right at 1 day. And it's interesting because I'm catching her right as she's coming out, like she said, this 6-month hiatus where, she's kind of figured out things a little bit differently. And while I haven't gone through this video, and we're going to walk through a good portion of it right now, one of the things that I like right now is that she's basically coming out and she's saying, wow, I was wrong. And see, this is one of those things where I think both men and women can learn a lot, because there's nothing wrong with saying that you were wrong. And I think people build up, these mountains of information where they believe that they just have to 100% just stand on this mountain, even if it's a mountain of misinformation, a mountain of things that will not bless them, a mountain of things that will actually hurt them. And see, many times that's what we all do, both men and women. We believe this thing, and then we stand on it. And like what I've told you all before, even in my own understanding, and this is where I do feel like the school system should, I'll be honest with you, keep their nose out of people's lives. They should focus on education, not focus on trying to teach people what to do, in the future. And I know for me, starting around 4th or 5th grade, it was a very small subtext type of mindset that basically encouraged men, that one day your wife is going to help you, that you're going to have more of a Cosby show-esque type of life, and she's going to make a lot of money, and she's going to bring that into the fold, and you're going to take this money, and you're going to bring it into the fold, and then both of you guys are going to work together, and you're going to build this utopia of a life. But what we really see now is that you almost need a person, whether they're male or female, almost dedicated to the family. It's almost, it's like most people are just trying to find out that it's almost like you need it. And even if you are saying, okay, we're going to both kind of co-do it together, what you start to see is maybe one person doesn't care as much about their job. Maybe they do have a job, but they don't care as much about it. That job is flexible, so they're able to go get the kids if they need to. They're able to go do this if they need to. They're able to cook a little bit more. Maybe the other person cooks once or twice a week, the person that makes the most money or does the most work outside of the home. But then the person in the home maybe cooks maybe 3 or 4 times. And so you end up creating these different versions, of this reality. But 2 people out here doing straight hustle generally doesn't work. And what I talk about on this channel is like I remember when I first did her videos a long time ago, and I'll say, I said it then, I'll say it now, she still leans into instinct-driven energy, which I talk about a lot on this channel. But I've always told men, and I've said this straight up over and over and over again, even though a lot of men turn their back on instinct-driven women, because we also use the term masculine in order to, describe them, as I'm always saying, they're not bad women. Okay? In fact, the Proverbs 31 woman would be considered masculine by today's standards. But it's all about where the woman's heart is. Is her heart for her family, or is her heart for herself? I.e., I'm building up all these businesses for me. I'm getting all this money so I can go get myself a new Mercedes SUV and a new bag of whatever, major manufacturer of their choice, right? So whatever designer of their choice. See, there is an energy that a lot of women enjoy being pampered. They enjoy getting things. They enjoy, having nice clothes and cars and different things like that and showing off to their other girlfriends. But there's been an attitude over the last, 50 years where people have said, girl, you go get it yourself. And what that encourages is it encourages women to become selfish and to care about themselves more than they care about anything else. And when you mix that with all the other problems that we have when it comes to relationships, you end up with this problem that's basically what we're dealing with now. So a lot of instinct-driven women who have the ability to go get that high-level money on their own, many times they turn their back on family. And many of them believe that, hey, I'm just turning my back on family for this first 10 years. But once I turn 33, I'm going to turn my attention back to a potential family. But just as, Chantel Simone has just said, and a lot of other women have figured out, it doesn't work that way. Because when a woman comes in with that energy and she's looking for a man who has that energy, that man is not attracted to her. And see, that's that part that's really hard for a lot of women to really swallow, because again, they've built this mountain of their life on things that don't work. But it's just like I said, a lot of men have built their life on this concept of, oh, we're going to work this thing out together. But what most men have found out, and a lot of my friends will attest to that, because I'm at that place where a lot of my friends have been married 15 or more years, and most of them will attest that no, when the book hits the fan, it's about the man going to get the money. I have several friends who married women who they thought was going to help them 100%. But then about 3 years in, the woman might have, started having kids. She might have, just decided she didn't want to be bothered. So now this man has to wake up to the reality that his wife is not going to do a corporate job. She's probably going to do a part-time job or a job she doesn't really have to put that much effort into, but she's not going to give him all this extra resources that he thought he was once going to have. And so now a lot of men, even have to wake up, even married men are waking up to this mindset that, oh crap, I got to figure this thing out. And see, we have to recognize again that there's always these pockets of society that keep trying to change things. They keep trying to make things different than what it really works best as. But most of us with age, we figure out what works. And what I'm trying to encourage most of the people that watch me, not to say that I'm 100% right on everything, but at least to consider some of the things that I'm trying to explain to you all in a lot of these videos. Because if you have built the mountain of your life, on things that don't work, and you're reaching as a woman, you're in your mid 30s, or as a man, you're in your 40s, you should just say, okay, you know what? Let me start over. And I know it's scary, But because of your maturity, you'll build twice as fast. But you've got to get off of that mountain that is not working for you. And you have to get on a mountain that will work for you.
And one of the reasons why I did take a step back, because as simple as the concept is, become qualified for the man you want, I received so many pushback, y'all. I got so many pushback. My OGs know this. I got so many pushback, and I got pushback from a lot of older women, 40 plus, who are stuck in their ways and who don't know how to fall back and follow man leadership and be submissive. Oh my gosh, that's like a curse word to them. Follow leadership. That's basically what submission is. And I got a lot of pushback from single moms. The harsh truth is a lot of these men don't want baby mamas. A lot of these men don't want women who have already given their womb to another man. So I would always encourage young girls to protect their womb. First off, protect your womb, prioritize dating and relationships, and get your education, but know that if you were to lead with your education on the dating market, you're not going to get the kind of man you want. I need to emphasize the kind of man you want. If you want a provider male and you go on the dating market, leading with your ability to provide, you can't benefit that man. It just makes logical sense if you honestly think about it, but like doing YouTube, I realize that common sense is just not common.
I have to agree with her there, but I want to talk a little bit about leadership because I think and submission, because I think a lot of women, they're afraid of it. And I just did, a video again with Naka. That was a really good video for many of you. It might not have come out quite yet, but when it does, okay, it's going to be an interview with Naka O'Nillafor. I definitely encourage all of you to watch that. I mean, she dropped a lot of really great nuggets, and me and her had a really good time in that particular video. But one of the things that a lot of women really need to kind of get is when you're trying to find your man, you're trying to find a man you can trust. 100% that you can trust. And if you're not finding men that you can trust, you need to find a different dating pool. All right? And see, a lot of people, period, both men and women, they really only know the people that have been in their dating pool. And like I've told you all before, there's definitely been women that I've run into that, I didn't get along with her, or she didn't get along with me, or better yet, she didn't understand my flow. She didn't understand my rhythm. She didn't understand the way that I walked. She liked the fact that I would pay for dates. She liked the fact that I would keep up with her. She liked the fact that I was actually interested in her life and wanted to know who she was. But many of those women could not handle the fact that I am walking in a different space and time. I am walking with a certain type of leadership, okay, that she either has to get with the program or she has to get off the road. And that's really is, the dynamic. And so a lot of people, a lot of women that's never run into that, they're afraid of it. It bothers them. It's concerning to them, because they've never dealt with men they can trust. But I've always encouraged you, and remember, this is one of the differences between me and some of the other influencers, is that I'm always encouraging women to pick great men, to pick men in the top 50%, not the bottom 50%, to not lean towards the average man, but to get to a good man. I'm not saying get your expectations too high. No, that's not what I'm talking about, because a lot of women, they lean into the wrong expectations, leaning into how a man looks, how much money he has, different things like that. I've never leaned you into that. I've leaned you into his character, who he is as a person. Because like I said, if God is picking a man, God doesn't pick based off money. He doesn't pick based off what's on the outside. He picks based off what's on the inside. And that is the best way for a woman to pick as well. But when you pick a good man, a man that can lead, then that man is going to make your life easier, because now you don't have to think about all of the problems. It is like literally being on vacation all of the time. See, that is the thing that I would hope most women understand about a man leading. It is basically the ability for you to get up as a woman in the morning, and about 60% of what you're concerned about right now, you're no longer concerned about. That's why I say it's like being on vacation. As a single mom, you have to worry about food. You have to worry about your job. You have to worry about money. You got to worry about the kids getting X, Y, Z. What if you could take, like I say, 60% of that worry, that concern, those thoughts, and remove them? That is what it's like when you're with a good man. And remember, when I'm talking about good here, again, I'm not talking about the outside. I'm talking about the inside. And see, when that man comes into your life, that man is going to start to lead you. And when he starts to lead you, if you're smart, even if you don't quite get his chemistry, even if you say, oh no, we don't quite match like that, and I don't know, I ain't feeling that sexual drive, I'm encouraging you to stick with it for at least 6 to 9 months, because generally speaking, your chemistry will change. What you're really going through right now is you're not used to his sexual energy. Okay, and I have to just say what it is, because see, sex does not begin in the bedroom. It begins through conversation. It begins with the way that a man looks at you. So if you're used to a man being very overt, okay, with his sexual nature, okay, and then another man comes in and he's covert with his sexual nature, you're not going to quite get that. That's not going to match with you. But once you all have a couple of, events, and I'm not saying sex here, okay? I'm just saying whether he kisses you or holds your hand or does whatever, once you understand that and you start to get in the rhythm and like, oh, well, he doesn't come out and do a kiss this way. He's going to do a kiss this other way. You're like, oh, okay, that's really what it takes. And at first it's going to throw you off. But over time, you're going to kind of get in the flow. And then it's going to become cute to you. And then it's going to become sexy to you for him no longer to move, in the way of ABC, but for him to move in XYZ. And see, that takes time. But it's worth it if you're willing to put in the effort. But again, remember, when you're dealing with a man of leadership, okay, he's not going to put up with you. And that's the thing I wish I could just explain to so many women, that when you're with the man like that, okay, and you have the opportunity, and you guys have gone out 2 or 3 times, and you recognize that this is who he is, okay, at that point, you have to quickly get your mind into, okay, I'm going with the flow. I am going to go with the flow. I'm going to give this dude, 13 weeks, i.e., 90 days. I'm going to give him that time, to show me, and I'm just going to sit back, and I'm going to relax. And I'm going to go with the flow. And if it works in 90 days, even if I'm not feeling him that much, I'm going to give this 100% of my energy, because I'm letting you know that will change your life for the better. For the better. But a man who is not doing anything for you on day 1, i.e. really on even day 45, he is not going to do anything for you for the rest of your life. And for the men that are watching, women are all, they work exactly the same way. If a woman is not doing anything for you, okay, on day 45, she's not ever going to do anything for you. Now, everybody loves different, okay, and that's really important for you to look for the ways that their person is trying to love you. But, you got to remember, okay, this. You got to remember. And what she's speaking right now is, I kind of hate to say it, like the young folks say, she's speaking facts. So basically, the last part of her video, I was kind of going through it a little bit. She's just basically talking about her future and what she wants to do and how she wants to rebuild her channel. So I don't think that has anything to do with this. But I did want to end on this, on this last little bit of note, is that another part that I thought she would talk about that she did not talk about, again, is this whole concept of women picking well. Okay, picking and choosing well. And I was hoping she would talk about that, because her literal title is Most Women Are Terrible at Dating and Relationships. And I find that a lot of women, like I said, they're absolutely horrible at picking men. And I think that really has more to do with our society and what is encouraged for women to be attracted to. So i.e., the men that are out here that are put on display, for example, those men, most of them, especially in the Black community, are not good men. Those are literally the men that women should be running from, not running to. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems out here. And I remember having a really great conversation with an absolutely intelligent, woman a little ways back, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And I think I might have mentioned it in 1 or 2 videos. And, she told me that for a lot of women, it is really luck, for them to find a good man and to get married. And even recently, I had another conversation with another lady who really, she rejected that idea. She actually thought it was more of the man and the woman coming together that actually creates, really good relationship. And I'll be honest with it, I agree with her a little bit, maybe 10% in her argument, but for the most part, I disagreed. And while we didn't go on and on, because I generally don't argue with people anymore, but the problem I think with that is, again, it goes back to who you're picking. And that's, like I say, that's on men and women's side. Like a lot of times that, I'm just going to talk for myself, for a minute. I know sometimes as soon as I meet a woman, generally within, honestly, 2 or 3 conversations, I know her energy. I know it. And I was, actually at, first Fridays. No, it wasn't first Fridays, third Fridays. A little while ago, and I ran into a lady, and me and her just had a really great conversation. And in that conversation, that particular lady, I could tell, we just had energy. We had energy. But one of the things that happened in that conversation was that she asked me, she said, what do you do? And I said, well, one of the things that I do is I'm a podcaster and I talk about dating and relationships. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. And she asked me more and more. And then I told her about the different types of personalities, because she was also into that type of thing. That's why I said me and her had a really good vibe. And so as we're going on and on, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was, just the fact of how she asked me about, she was like, how do you know if a woman is masculine? She was saying, because basically what you're telling me, you should be able to figure it out. And I said, yeah, I can generally figure it out in the first couple of conversations. And I told her, how, a man can figure out if a woman is masculine within 2 or 3 conversations. And I think she was fascinated by that. And she asked me about some of the other things as well. But the reason why I say that is because most women can figure out what a man is about within 2 or 3 conversations. Just the same way men can figure out whether a person is good for them, or what their energy is, I should say, within 2 or 3 conversations. Generally speaking, and that's why I'm always encouraging you all to get on the phone and talk to the person for 30 minutes to an hour before the first date. Because generally speaking, if you meet the person somewhere, whether you meet them online or you meet them in person, you've had some kind of conversation. Then you get them on the phone, and now you talk to them for 30 minutes to an hour. So that's a conversation. Then you get them in person again, or, for the first time, and then you have a conversation. But so between those 3 things, generally speaking, you can rule out about 80% of the people just that quick. Because if they're not lined up, and if you haven't even asked a few questions in that scope of time, then yeah, you're not going to be that type of person that's picking well. And see, this is the point that I'm trying to make. As a woman, you're looking for that man that can protect, provide, and lead. And you're also looking for that man, okay, that has his ducks in a row, who has things in common with you. And you're looking for conversation, especially if you're the type of person that loves to talk, you're looking for the type of conversation that flows for you. Okay? And if you're a man, you're looking for a woman, okay, who is kind, loving, supportive, and she's attractive to you. Okay? And then not only attractive, but she's willing to put in the effort for attractiveness in the future. Right? So those are the things you're looking for. But again, you're still looking for, do you have commonality? Can you guys talk forever? So all those things are very important. And that is how you should be out here picking your person. And like I say, if the person doesn't line up and you're just like, oh, well, I just want to date, I just want to get out, you're playing kind of a dangerous game, because now you're putting your heart out there with someone, and sooner or later you will start to like that person if you hang around with them long enough. Now, it might be 3, 5, 7, 10 months, but if you hang around with them long enough, you will start to like them. And so now, again, you're putting yourself in a situation where you're giving your heart to someone who should have never had it. And this is why I'm always encouraging people to pay attention. And especially for the women, I mean, even recently, I'll tell you this, because I know a lot of people are Christian, and a lot of women are like, where can you find a Christian man? Blah, 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 blah. Recently, I was at church. And for some reason, the pastor did what he normally does. He's like, men, stand up. Men, I need you to stand up and give glory to God. And men stood up, and evidently there was more, it was definitely more, women than men, in the audience. But here's the whole point. if you're a single woman and you're standing next to one of these men and the man doesn't have a ring on his finger, or he doesn't have a woman sitting next to him that you think is his girlfriend, then why didn't you smile at him? Why aren't you saying anything to him? Well, he's too short, or he's too this, or he's too that. Again, have a conversation. Have a conversation. Okay, I've known plenty of people that found their person. Like I say, I know women that found their person and their person is 2 inches shorter than them. And I know that kind of beats your bubble. But again, there's some men that have found their person and that person is 30 pounds more than what they wanted. So we got to get out of this mindset that the outside has to be perfect. Okay? Because it doesn't. All right, we're trying to think about something bigger. We're trying to do things God's way. I even kind of want to say kingdom marriage, but I don't want to lean it into, all of that in this particular, video, because again, I think people have kind of robbed and stolen that hashtag for the wrong things. Anyway, please like, please subscribe. Remember, first and third Wednesdays, we will be having live. So if you want to join, talk, have that conversation, please do. All right. And I'm going to see you in the very next video.